Don't get me wrong, I love snow just as much as the next man, but after a long and pretty cold winter full of the stuff, I am longing for a bit of summer warmth. So I thought today I'd tell you the story of a trip I did last August, which should really be quite a bit more summery than this. After a more than 14-hour journey, I arrived at my destination, the Isles of Scilly, about 30 miles off the westernmost point of Cornwall. The archipelago consists of the 5 inhabited islands of St Mary's, Tresco, St Martin, St Agnes and Briar. But islands are not just beautiful geographical features. I really do believe that they hold an important place in our public consciousness and culture. It might be that as our lives become more connected, modern and urban, their isolation and simplicity holds something very comforting for all of us. So what are these fundamental qualities? Why do we want to become islanders? Looking west from Briar, the smallest of the islands, there's nothing between its shore and the coast of North America. That makes Briar an island of two halves, really. The western side is exposed to the relentless onslaught of the North Atlantic. The eastern side, protected by the shallows of the archipelago, is almost tropically calm. Briar's geography lays bare this most fundamental quality of an island. It gives us shelter. It allows for human inhabitation somewhere inherently inhuman. Not just does Briar offer shelter in the physical sense, but it is also home to the island's highest ranked hotel. So to its guests, it offers shelter in a more metaphysical sense. A place to get away from it all, as a refuge from the unrelenting everyday. I guess I could have sold that to the hotel as a marketing slogan. It's a missed opportunity right there. Across a narrow channel of water from Briar lies the island of Tresco. It is the only island in the Scillies which is primarily run as a holiday resort. Just think of the marketing slogan of every single Indian Ocean resort. Islands are closely intertwined with the idea of paradise. In the isolation of an island, the problems of the outside world seem to disappear, and we get the opportunity to start afresh, both as an individual and as a society. Tresco is the closest I ever got in Britain to a subtropical island paradise. It's not the Maldives, but you can definitely feel that they're trying. There's helpful staff in attractive dark green uniforms everywhere, free transport in cute little electric buggies, as well as a wealth of organised and DIY activities.
This is great.
But the idea of utopia seems that much more believable on a sandy beach in 24 degrees and bright sunshine. St Mary is the beating heart of the islands, as well as their main arteries to the outside world. Almost half of the city's permanent residents live in and around its largest settlement, Hutan. Still, please don't confuse Hutan with a bustling metropolis. Anywhere else it would easily pass as a smallish village. Island life naturally makes our life simpler. We don't have to worry about what new artisan bakery is currently in, what petrol station offers the best deals, and what boiler repairman can be trusted. On an island like St. Mary's, you simply get your bread out of the bakery, you fill up the car at the petrol station, and you give a ring to George, the boiler repairman. You've got no choice. And if you don't like it, you better get settled for cold showers. Any island community is a world in miniature, where for a landlubber like me the mundane things are extraordinary, simply because of their simplicity. Modern life holds hundreds of different choices for everything. On an island, things seem easier to get our head around. Maybe that's why we find them so relaxing. They give freedom because they are limiting. St. Martin's is where we stayed during our time in the Scilly Isles. And every morning, we got a little leaflet under the door, which the hotel management had imaginatively called Island Times. For me, there was something really tacky about that. Island time surely was something you put on doormats and souvenir mugs. But I guess behind any kitsch, there's always some kind of fundamental truth. Instead of obeying the globally pretty much agreed 24-hour day, the island seemed to follow its own rule, the ferry timetable. Most of the time, life on St. Martin's was blissfully solitary. The arrival of the ferry, however, would draw people and goods alike out of every corner of the island. Locals and visitors would congregate on the jetty, whether they were planning to get on the ferry or not, and would work together loading everything onto the boat. Like a line of sailors preparing a gallon of old for its long voyage, the island's naval history did not feel so far away. And so bags, goods and people would be carried back out to sea, like driftwood to be scattered around the world, leaving St. Martin's to its own natural cycle of timelessness.
Okay, then we get to once we're alongside the quay, would you like to step off the boat, please? Once everybody's off, we'll pass the bags ashore.
Islands are in-between places. Not just between land and water, but also between reality and myth, between nostalgic yesterday and the allure of a potential future. As such, they are perfect places for story.
Poet of the Islands, the mighty sea cucumber.
As much protagonist as setting. The second smallest and southernmost island, St. Agnes, was fairly easy to wrap my head around. And yet it offered a surprisingly wide range of geographies. The old lane, Wingeltang Down, the cove, the burnt island, and in the middle of it all, the magnificent old lighthouse. You don't have to visit St. Agnes. The place names alone are enough to bring to mind the atmosphere of childhood adventure.
Out of all the islands I encountered on my journey, it was the one that evoked in me a real sense of discovery, even childlike wonderment. So today St. Agnes remains the island that I long to return to the most. I don't know whether that says more about its identity or mine.
I wished I could have stayed there, in its endless summer, for just that little bit longer, warding off pirates and searching its sandy beaches for the treasures that I'm sure still lay hidden there. But that's the thing with islands. For most of us, there comes a day when we have to leave their shores and return to the real world. It might be that we want to become islanders because we want the islands to change us. And I do believe that if we let them, they can really shift our perspective about our connection with nature, the community around us, and even of ourselves.
So whilst being stuck here in beautifully snowy but sadly landlocked Switzerland, I'm really looking forward to my return to the Scilly Isles when I can again take up my temporary existence as an islander. And I guess in the meantime, it's really comforting to know the tides in the cities will simply go in and out. That's what they do.